Welcome to another episode of Chat Sports Talks, and Happy New Year. Yeah, I know I'm a little late to the party in this aspect. If you can't tell, sick once again. You gotta love this time of year, the winter time frame. You just get hit with stuff, and especially where I'm at, certain pollen was just high intake, so that didn't help matters much. I didn't have allergies till I moved out here. Go figure. But it affects a lot of people that move out here, so it doesn't really matter. Or even those that actually do live here. Those have to deal with cedar fever. Cedar fever. Wow. You know how messed up I am right now. And then just taking time, taking in all the aspects of, dealing with sickness, and then watching all the football and listening to all the different levels coming in. And both conference top seats have been clinched. So congrats to Baltimore and San Francisco. Philadelphia failed to secure the possibility of winning their division. Tampa Bay failed to win the South. AFC South is wide open. The Rams are in now. So we still have two AFC wild cards, AFC South, NFC South, and last NFC wild card. And who's going to win the East? Who's going to be number 2? Who's going to be number 5? It's going to be Philly. It's going to be Dallas. We don't know. Those are the type of scenarios that are coming out in Week 18. Week 18 has a lot of games. Still have a lot of playoff implications in place, including the AFC East Division Title matchup between Buffalo and Miami to determine who's going to win the East, who's going to win number 2, who's going to be number 6. Or maybe not even in the playoffs. There's huge implications there. A lot of teams have nothing to play for because they already locked the positions up. They're not going to gain any higher. They're not going to go any lower. So we probably see a lot of the starters sit out, kind of rest them up, or have very limited action. We'll see how things play out in Week 18. But let's go ahead and do a quick recap of Week 17 and I kind of dipped down a bit. I did end up going 10-6. So still not a bad week. Definitely some things I wanted to see go differently. Of course, so did a lot of other teams out there as well. As for mentioned, Philadelphia. But, going off last Thursday, Browns had no problem with the Jets. No one. I didn't see that. Joe Flacco was just being fantastic. 300 yards plus, 3 touchdowns. He handled his former team quite well. And he seemed to revitalize himself like he was in Baltimore when he made those Super Bowl runs. So definitely a good aspect in terms of where Cleveland's at, and no brainer there. That Saturday game was a spectacular showdown between the Detroit and Dallas. And a little bit of a controversial penalty at the end of the game. Detroit gets a touchdown. They're going for 2. They make it. Flag on the play. Illegal touching. Apparently the guy, according to refs, said he never checked in. Replays do kind of show that him and another guy both checked in. But they only called one of them. So instead of, calling a timeout and ensuring that the other guy did get checked in, because, the refs had to tell Dallas, like, hey, this guy's in, this guy's in. That way they know. That's why he was open. So either ref didn't hear it or ref didn't care. You could take your side of conspiracy theory on that one. But they continued to run 2-point plays instead of just kicking the extra point, tying it, sending overtime. I don't know, maybe that's just the more conservative of me. I probably would have done that. I did pick Dallas to win this game, but I was kind of rooting for Detroit. I knew this was going to be a good game between these two. I think Dallas was super favored, and I was like, nah, it's going to be closer than you think. But the fact that Campbell is going for a win is showing that, he doesn't give two, what, and he's going to do what he wants. And the players are all for it. They're just aggravated with the penalty call. Everyone was aggravated with it. It's been a huge topic all over social media and sports networks and whatnot. So there's a lot of things to cover that one. I'm not going to dive into it. The ref didn't call his number. He didn't check in. Now, whether he did or not, that's a totally different story. He did definitely go over there because even, Goff is actually telling him to go over there. So I have a feeling he did check in, but the ref didn't acknowledge him. He never did, and they still ran the play. But Detroit's in anyways. They were just looking to try to, one up Dallas, maybe. That's why they didn't really care too much, because they're going to finish third in the NFC anyways. Doesn't matter. But then we had Sunday, the game up in Buffalo. I knew Buffalo's going to win. I knew it was going to be closer to what the spread was. Definitely was that. Sappy had a terrible game with 3 interceptions. Did not help at all. Buffalo continued to roll, and they still may not get in the playoffs. Bears dismantled the Falcons. Justin Fields once again. Effective passing. There's been a lot of talks of them drafting Caleb Williams, the first pick. No. I want to know, stick with Justin. He keeps showing you he has the ability. You've given him the right tools, given him the right schemes. He can play. He hasn't had a coach long enough to really help him out. I mean, Eberflus been there now 2 years, so it hasn't really helped him out. They keep changing offensive coordinators. Makes things a little difficult. If I was the Bears, maybe trade that off again, get more first-round picks, and look to build that offensive line. Maybe get Marvin Harrison Jr. But, that's just me. And then we head over to Indianapolis. The Raiders came to town. I was buying in on the Raiders, continuing to win. Minshew kind of told him, no, not my house. And Indianapolis is just playing phenomenal right now. Right now, they won 23-10 to keep their playoff hopes alive. The Rams went up to New York to take on the Giants, and the G-Men gave them all they could handle. But it was Kyrie Williams that was the main difference in this game. He had 3 touchdowns on the ground. Main reason why the Rams clinched a playoff position by edging out the Giants 26-25. And then one of the greatest collapses. Over to Philadelphia, where Philadelphia at one point in time was up 21-6. They had this game in hand, but Kyler Murray was just phenomenal. 230 yards, 3 touchdowns. Connor, over 120 yards rushing and a touchdown, as Arizona outdueled Philadelphia in Philly 35-31. That puts the Phillies' chance of clinching the division out of their reach. And Arizona just, spoiling the parties for everyone. But yeah, Philadelphia continues to free fall. I mean, that win against the Giants seems to be a fluke right now. This was their time frame to shine, and they failed. The Buccaneers had an opportunity to win the division against the Saints. There we go. The Saints were dominating them for 3 quarters of the game. 3 quarters, they were dominating. They were up 20-0 heading to that final frame. Baker was doing everything he possibly could, over 300 passing, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Carr threw for 2 touchdowns himself. As the Saints hold on to a thread to have their playoff hopes alive and beat the Buccaneers 23-13. San Fran going to Washington. Shut out Washington. No surprise there. Jacksonville play host to Carolina. Now, I went on on the edge. I went with Carolina because of Herbert probably not starting, and he didn't. It was Beathard. But Jacksonville's defense stepped up and shut out the Panthers. Carolina could get nothing going. It was just a wonderful day. Travis Etienne was the focal point. 100 yards, 2 touchdowns, as the Jags shut out the Panthers 26-0. And then Baltimore smacked Miami. There was no magical comeback this year. Lamar Jackson ensured he had a wonderful day back there. 320 yards passing, 5 touchdowns. Baltimore looks like a team to watch out for. They just manhandled Miami, clinched the number 1 seed. Yeah, Houston, Tennessee, and I went on a limb. I went Tennessee on this one. I thought they could have something going in Houston's ability. Maybe not have them win the division, as right now they are technically in the lead, but they haven't clinched. C.J. Stroud and this team has made huge turnaround from last year. Beat Tennessee 26-3, on the threshold of making the playoffs. Another one they didn't get wrong was Pittsburgh and Seattle. I thought Seattle would be a little bit too much for them. Geno Smith, 290 yards, touchdown. They don't have time to really pass the ball. And the Steelers' defensive front was pretty in his face a lot. Najee Harris was a huge factor for the Steelers. He ended up continuing to run the ball. 122 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. As the Steelers right now, they continue to run this type of offense the way they're going, could actually get in. There's still some possibility of them getting in, and they beat Seattle 30-23. Chargers heading to Denver, and this is where Russ was benched before I made the video. Like I said, I made the video way early last week. But Stidham came in over 200 yards passing and touchdown. Very good. The Chargers are just a team in free fall due to injuries. Injuries have just scrapped the season. They're scrapping the season. Looking for a high-profile coach to come in. I'll have a few knocking on their door. Don't worry. Denver continue to roll 16-9. The Bengals limped into Kansas City. There we go. And held their own. With Jake Browning back there instead of Joe Coolborough, the team still does extremely well. Browning can actually throw the rock. So the Chiefs' defense can show a few holes here and there. And once again, the Chiefs' receiving core not really living up to the hype. Except for Rice, he is becoming a more and more star receiver for Patrick Mahomes. Him having 127 yards receiving, but no touchdowns. And there was a short time frame since then he was leading them 17-13, which I kind of figured they would. Just how these teams operate. I figured Kansas City would come in towards the end. The defense actually stepped up, shut out Cincinnati that second half. Kansas City ended up winning 25-17. And then Jordan Love goes into Minnesota to keep their playoff hopes alive and just destroyed Minnesota 33-10. Much of my chagrin, I did pick them, but there they are. No, they went 10-6. So let's now head into Week 18. And with Week 18, we'll have a few games on the docket that definitely have some implications to them. Others will not. Let's go ahead and start off with Saturday matchups. We have 2 of them for Saturday, both of them on ABC. And we'll start off in Baltimore, where the Ravens play host to the Steelers. Now, with this being a weird game, because Baltimore has nothing to play for. They clinch the North. They get the number 1 seed. And they have their first week off. So if Lamar Jackson does play, he'll be on a 8-pitch count. Pittsburgh has a lot more to play for in this game because there's so many different scenarios for them to get into the playoffs. A lot of them does require them to win and a lot of help. One is, of course, if they win, then get in with either a Buffalo loss a Jacksonville loss or tie, or a Houston-Indianapolis tie. But Pittsburgh ties plus Jacksonville loss plus Houston-Indianapolis doesn't end in a tie, or Jacksonville just loses, plus Denver win, plus a Houston-Indianapolis doesn't end in a tie. So Pittsburgh needs to win and needs help to get in beyond that. So they have things to play for. They've also ensured that, once again, Tomlin will not have a losing season. And with that aspect going, with I think Baltimore going to have limited play for the live players, Pittsburgh has a lot to play for. I will give it to the Steelers. Right now, the line's at 4. I understand why. It's because it's Baltimore. They're going to play themselves that part of that first half, and that second half, that's going to be, the backups in for Baltimore for sure. That means Pittsburgh should be able to run it up as best they possibly can. And then we had the Indianapolis between a pair of 9-7 clubs, and the Texans and the Colts. Now, this is a huge one. I mean, with Houston and Indianapolis, this game also plays into Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh had to do their part and then watch this one. So they're hoping for a tie between these two. Houston can clinch the South title with a win or a Jacksonville loss or tie. And they can also get into the playoff if they win, of course, or tie plus a Jacksonville loss plus a Pittsburgh loss or tie. So by the time they kick off, they'll probably know what happened to Pittsburgh if they're paying attention. And for Indianapolis, they could clinch the South with a win plus a Jacksonville loss or tie, or they tie and the Jacks lose. They're in with a win, or they tie and Pitt and the Steelers either lose or tie. There's a lot of things going in between these two. These guys are going to go all out. C.J. Stroud, I think, no question, the rookie of the year, the way he has just handled himself. He should get some votes for MVP. I really do think so. I think Lamar Jackson's probably more the MVP candidate, probably the number one choice. I think put Christian McCaffrey number 2. I'll put C.J. Stroud at 3. I'll probably even throw Dak Prescott up there too. Definitely need some acknowledgement for his season as well. But with part of throwing Tyreek Hill at 5, just to get away from the quarterbacks a little bit. Well, this is going to be a definitely interesting game. Both these teams are definitely playing above where they should be at. A lot of people had no high expectations for them, especially with the Colts after they lost Jefferson for the year. They really wrote them off. They didn't think Houston can do this huge turnaround. Look like they got the better draft pick, better quarterback than the Panthers. So, I mean, it's only time will tell. This is only the first season. Maybe Bryce Young will get better next year with the right coaching staff in place. With Houston, everything looks up. I mean, if they don't make it this year, they're definitely going to be a favorite next year. Put that out there because they've made their mark. Now people will want to come to Houston to play. Minshew has taken Colts under his tutelage and just ran with it. I mean, he has no worries of trying to run this game. He has a swagger to him that the players love. And it's definitely going to be one of these interesting games. Right now, the line it has it at Houston at 1.5. I'm going to go with the Colts at home. I dialed them last week against the Raiders, so I'm not going to do it this week, and that's probably going to hurt me in the end. Like I said, with this game, I mean, this is going to be a very, very, very good game to watch. Very entertaining Saturday night, and definitely one to part have a lot of playoff implications. After Sunday, where we have the Browns visiting the Bengals, the Browns already said that Flacco will not be playing. They'll be resting him for the playoffs, which is a good thing. So they have nothing to play for. Cincinnati's just playing for pride, basically. Cincinnati's favored by 7. I'm not pushing back. Definitely Bengals. Then you got Vikings heading into Detroit for last game. For me, yeah, this one's going to be a little interesting because they just faced off 2 weeks ago, and Detroit won in Minnesota for the division title. But Detroit's got the third seed locked up. Doesn't matter if they win or not. They're not getting out of that third spot. So nothing really to play for Detroit. Right now, Detroit's favored by 3.5. I doubt if Goff and most of the starters will play most of the game. They may only have a first quarter, maybe the first half, and that's it. Now, I know Bruce Campbell probably not going to let them quit, and they'll probably play them hard. But I'll probably see more of the backup players coming in here, trying to make a stand. So that way it keeps his star players ready for the playoffs. Because they might get something like the Rams in the first round, so they're going to need their players playing at peak performance. And I don't think they're going to really try that hard against Minnesota. I don't think Minnesota's really talented enough to beat Minnesota, but I will go with the Vikings just because it's just how this setup is with these guys. Then we head over to Nashville where the Jaguars come to town. The Jaguars have a lot to play for. For them to win the division, they just need to win. Just win, baby. But if they tie, they need the Colts and Texans to tie. I doubt the two AFC South games in the tie. They can still get in if they tie, plus Pittsburgh loses or ties, or Pittsburgh loss, plus Denver loss, or tie, plus Colts Houston doesn't end in a tie. So there's a lot of scenarios that has to happen for them to get into the playoffs if they don't win out. So like, Al Davis, just win, baby. That's all they have to do. They just win and they're in. Going to Nashville, Trevor Lawrence should be back, maybe. So that's going to be the huge question mark right now. But they didn't have him last week, and their defense stepped up. Tennessee definitely dropped the ball last week. They couldn't get anything going against Houston's defense. Jacksonville's defense is just as dangerous. Right now, Jacksonville's favored by 3.5. I'm not going to downplay this game. This one's definitely going to be close. I think it's going to be at 2.5. But we'll go with Jags escaping Nashville with the AFC South division crown. Then we head over to Foxborough where the Jets come to town, taking the Patriots. Nothing here except for pride. Could this be Belichick's last game as a New England head coach? Maybe. Could be Saleh's. I think Saleh's already guaranteed to come back. But we'll just see how this one kind of goes. And right now the Lions New England by 2. I like it. Pats. And then we have the Falcons and the Saints. I mean, this is another unique aspect between these two. Because it all depends on that division crown. For the Saints, they need to clinch the South. Of course, they need to win, plus Tampa Bay needs to lose or tie. Or if they tie, Tampa Bay needs to lose. And then to stay in the playoffs, needed to win, plus a Seattle loss or tie, plus a Green Bay loss or tie. Or if they tie, and Seattle and Green Bay both have to lose. For Atlanta, they have nothing to play for. They're there spoilers, but I don't think they could spoil anything. They're just playing very terrible right now. No direction, so we'll see how what they do in the offseason. I think the Saints will find ways to atone for a lot of the issues they've had. They should end the season with a W. Right now, they're 3-point favorites at home. I think that's the case. They'll definitely win, and they'll put pressure on Tampa Bay because they'll be both playing the exact same time frame. And speaking of the Bucs, they're in Charlotte. For them to clinch the division, they have to win. But if they tie, the Saints have to lose or tie, and they win the division. They can get in the playoffs with a tie, plus a Seattle loss or a Green Bay loss or tie. But I don't see that being an issue. Carolina doesn't look like a very good team to really worry about too much. And for me, I think they should be able to withstand Carolina right now. Tampa Bay's fair about 4.5. It might be a little bit bigger than that one. I think it's going to be, I would not be surprised if it'd be a shutout again. I doubt Carolina will try to end that way. It'll probably be like, like a 28-7 game, but definitely Tampa Bay winning and clinching the division title. Then we have the Green Bay, where the Bears come to town to take on the Packers. Now, for Green Bay to get into playoffs, needed a win or a tie plus a Seattle loss or tie with a Saints loss or tie, or they tie once again, Seattle loss plus a Tampa Bay loss, or Seattle tie plus Tampa Bay loss or tie, or Minnesota loss or tie plus Seattle loss plus Tampa Bay loss, or it just, a Minnesota loss or tie plus Seattle loss plus Saints loss. So if they lose, they need help. In other words, there's like so many different variables in here. So I did go over Minnesota's because, when they're taking on the Lions, it's them winning plus lots of help. Win and win. Sounds eerily similar to what happened last year when the Lions came to town and Green Bay needed the win to get in. And the Lions had nothing to play for. They went all out. They beat Green Bay at Lambeau Field to end the Aaron Rodgers tenure in Green Bay. Could Justin Fields and the Bears do the exact same thing? It is a possibility. This is a divisional game. They're going to play very tough. The Bears have to rebound from their first game of the season matchup between them and the Packers, where Jordan Love just continuing the Packer ownership of the Bears franchise. But this one I might go on the limb. Because for me, it's a matter of pride. And since Justin Fields becoming more of a dual threat, him and DJ Moore have a great connection. DJ Moore has had a career year right now in Chicago. And for me, I think the Bears will love to play spoiler. I think they would like to go into Green Bay and just ruin the Packers' chances of making the postseason. That's why I'm betting that, because they have nothing to lose. They got eliminated because too many other teams won. So they can try to have someone not make it, and I think they'll look forward to it. I'll pick the Bears to win, but Green Bay is favored by 3. They have the Broncos and Raiders. None of them have anything to play for right now. I think it's just more matter of pride. Stem's going to be playing in this game. Where else is not going to be playing? This is going to be figure out who's going to, if the Raiders can tie the Broncos at 8-9, or does the Broncos win this game and build from there. Should be an entertaining matchup. A great AFC West battle. The old AFL teams. I'm going with the Raiders winning at home. Right now the line's down by 3. I like it. Go to Arizona, where the Cardinals play host to the Seahawks. Right now, no one has anything really to play for. Well, Seattle does. Arizona has nothing to lose. So Seattle, to make the playoffs, they need to win. Plus either a Green Bay loss, or if they tie, they need a Green Bay loss plus a Tampa Bay loss or tie, or a Packers loss and a Saints loss or tie. So they still need a lot of help if they end up tying this game, but they need to win it to stay in it. Another scenario for you, much like the Green Bay game, win and you're in. But I have a feeling that Arizona, once again, not caring, is going to look at this situation as a way to really go after them. I think this is going to be one where Connor's going to probably be another focal point in this team. Colin Murray's going to find ways to wreaking havoc on that Seattle defense. Right now, the line is by Seattle by 2.5. I'm all about the chaos. I'm taking the the Cardinals to win at home in the season finale. Ruining the Seahawks chances the postseason. Then we have to LA where the Chargers play host to the Chiefs. The Chiefs are already in. They can't do anything worse. What really needs to happen is Mahomes needs a better game to work on with the receivers to get that connection going once again, because that's been a really bad sign for the Chiefs. But I think it'd be a good idea to keep some of the players out, keep them healthy, just maybe go in there, or just have them play that first quarter, and that's it. First 2 drives of the game, make it like a preseason game, like you normally would. Right now, the line has it charged by 3.5. I think it's going to be Chargers beating the Chiefs in the last game of the year. The Rams head up to Santa Clara, to take on the 49ers. Both teams are in. The 49ers have their 1 seed. For the Rams, maybe they can get a little bit higher. I mean, I think 5th's going to be the best spot. I don't really see much changing in this aspect. You'll probably see limited action by the starters, and you start seeing the backup players come in and handle the majority of their reps after that. Just keep players healthy for the playoffs. For that being said, right now the line has it 49ers by 4. I think it's going to be the backups by the time the game is in the second half. I'll take the Rams winning. This is going to be a coin toss between these two. Now, the next two I'll combine them because they have a lot of implications. NFC East. We already know both Dallas and Philadelphia have already clinched a playoff position. We just don't know who's going to be first, or who's going to be the number 2 seed, and who's going to be number 5. More likely heading to Tampa Bay. Now, for the Eagles, they need a win plus a Dallas loss or tie, or if they tie, they need Dallas to lose. And for Dallas, they just need to win. They win, they get a division. But if they end up tying, they need Philly to tie or lose. And they got the division. So there's a lot to play for between these two teams coming in. So with Philadelphia, they're taking on the Giants once again, second time in 3 weeks. The Giants gave the Rams all they could handle last week. Giants actually gave Eagles trouble in 2 weeks ago. Philly has a lot of issues to worry about. That collapse they did against Arizona, they need to fix that in a hurry. And Jalen Hurts right now is throwing a lot more picks than he used to. Maybe he's not seeing the field as well as he did previously when he made that magnificent Super Bowl run. Yeah, if they would have won the Super Bowl, he would have been Super Bowl MVP, hands down. Swift needs to hang on the ball a little bit more because he had some fumble issues as well. But this is definitely one that the Eagles should go in there and win hands down. But we all know better than that, don't we? You know the G-men are going to give them everything they can handle and more. But before we go into that one, let's go down to D.C., where the Cowboys come to town and take on the rivals Commanders. Once again, Commanders have nothing to lose. The Cowboys have everything to play for. So all the stress is not on the home teams. All the stress is on the visitors. Can the visitors go in there and perform? That is going to be the problem. Right now, Washington has not strung together very good offensive plays here and there. I mean, the last 2 weeks, they just fell apart. I mean, the 49ers shut them out. So they're going to look and try and get some points on the board. Dak Prescott and CD Lamb are playing right now, that could be just their show. I mean, the way those two have been hooked up, and CD Lamb has just been a fool right now. I can see that continuing because I don't think Washington has anything in terms of defense to really stop Dallas at all. Dallas right now is playing hot, playing a bad team. This is normally a sign that they're just going to run amok. And Philly has shown they can struggle against anyone, and the Giants don't be one of those teams that could do that. Now, the reason why I kind of roped these two together because there's a lot of different scenarios that can play out. I can see both the Giants and Commanders just pulling off an upset. Commanders been a little more of a stretch, but I can definitely see the Giants do it. Easy. But for me, I went one way before I made this video, and I'm going to call it audible. I will pick the Giants over the Eagles, Dallas over Washington. I had that other way around, giving the Eagles the back-to-back division title. But the way the Eagles have been playing, it's tough for me to really back them right now. I mean, they have all that talent and just, for some reason, they're just falling apart in the wrong time frame. Dallas is peaking right now. And everything's pointing towards Dallas to have a huge game. It's not going to be a huge game. Philadelphia's favored by 5. I think Giants going to win by 3. Dallas is favored by 13. They're going to win by 7. That's how I look at that. Dallas going to win the division, take the number 2 seed. Philly will go to number 5, head to Tampa Bay. And then Sunday night, we're playing for the AFC East Divisional Title. But not only that, there's a lot of other scenarios you have to worry about. For Miami, they just need to win. They clinch the East. For Buffalo, a win, they clinch the East. However, in order for them to clinch a playoff berth, they need Pittsburgh to lose or tie, or Jacksonville lose or tie, or Houston, Indianapolis to tie. Well, we already know Houston, Indianapolis, no one tied. I went with Indy. With Jacksonville, I had them winning. Pittsburgh, I had them winning, which means Buffalo needed to tie or win. That's how this one goes out. Because of Buffalo and Miami tie, Miami still wins the division. So everything is in Buffalo's court right now to play this game correctly. And the way Miami kind of looked last week against Baltimore, they looked vulnerable, extremely vulnerable. If Buffalo can match Baltimore's intensity on defense, it's going to play havoc for Miami. Problem is, they won't match Baltimore's intensity, but still play havoc for Miami's defense. And then the way Buffalo's offense is running right now, I don't think Miami's defense can stop them. I really don't. Right now, the line has Buffalo at 3. And you know what? I like that. I'd like to see Buffalo come in here. Like I said, Buffalo's been my Super Bowl teams is Philadelphia and Buffalo. So the fact that they're both struggling right now has me scratching my head and kind of going, great, I picked the wrong ones. Maybe we need to go in a little adversary first. But Buffalo's peaking right now. They are playing very top-notch football. They're definitely going to be hard out. But we'll take the Bills winning in South Beach to claim the AFC East title once again. Well, there you go. There is my picks to kind of go aside with the playoff scenario implications. I mean, there's a lot of things that could happen to really hamper things going forward because of how certain scenarios could play out because of who's in, who's not. My picks, you'll have the Colts visiting Buffalo. Miami will head out to Kansas City, and the Browns will down to Jacksonville. That's AFC first week, NFC first week. Saints to Dallas, Rams and Lions, and the Eagles will head down to Tampa Bay. Definitely a interesting scenario, definitely to say the least. But if Green Bay is able to beat Chicago, which I think they can, will, be there in Dallas instead of the Saints. But there you go. That's how I think it possibly could play out. There's definitely one way it definitely could. So we'll see how this one plays out. Let me know down below what you think of the draft, or the picks this week. Like I said, a lot of things being tossed around there and all that. You can do your own scenario on ESPN. They have their the playoff machine where you pick the winners and losers and put in all the different scenarios to see how your team could possibly finish in terms of getting in there. It's going to be a fun playoff. Definitely that. I want you down there making those comments, making it civil. We like the interaction. It really helps get the algorithm up. You also hit the thumbs up, especially like the content I'm providing, especially you down here this late in the video. No reason why not to give a thumbs up. Or it pleases the almighty YouTube algorithm. Make sure this face and this content gets out to the ether. While you're there, you also subscribe. It doesn't cost you a thing. It helps me ensure I do my lovely work, provide more entertaining and nonsensical content about football for you. Once you hit that subscribe button, make sure you click that bell icon, turn on notification, let you know next time I post any more content on my channel. And I'll see you next time on Chat Sports Talk.